The Shepnaz podcast begins now.
You're listening to the Shepnaz podcast, a podcast here at Shepherd Church. Everything we do is to help people take their next step toward Jesus. This podcast is part of that. We want to help you engage daily in your faith. And today, we're going to join back into the conversation with myself, Brianna, and Rob, where we're talking about social media and everything that goes along with that. So we're going to join that conversation in progress. Here we go. Well, then you also have the psychology behind the actual post that you're making. So not only are you comparing when you see somebody's posts, their reels, their whatever, their stories, then when you make one, you are looking, just like you said, attention is the currency. You're looking for somebody else to pause and to look at your thing and to give you the dopamine hit of them liking your photo or them commenting on your and taking time out of their day.
Right.
And I've had students say, like if I didn't get 10 likes in the first, few minutes, I take it down and I repost it.
Yeah. After they, or they edit it and do something to it.
And they repost it because I have to have this certain thing. And it's been clinically shown that people get that dopamine hit in their brain when people click the like button on their post.
Yeah.
And so it's why what you'll see is just continual refreshing. Like, did somebody else like something to somebody else? It's the push notifications of every time you run to your phone to see did somebody like what I posted. Yep. And
I think sometimes the problem with that is that the post has to get a little bit more, it has to get better every time, or more graphic if it's, like a sexual image or something like that. Those are the ones that get lots of likes.
Yeah.
So people keep putting them up there and they get more and more edgy.
And because it's an algorithm, the more you post, the better chance your stuff has to show up in somebody else's feed. And so you'll have people posting, and you're doing this, you're editing content all day long, and only a few people are earning the millions of dollars. Other people, it's consuming their life and it's taking them away from their families, taking away from their jobs, taking away from their friends,
doing their work at home, homework or school.
And so, I just pulled up you have people making 17 million, 10 million, 8.5 million, 5 million, 5 million, 5 million on TikTok, just on TikTok. But obviously the overwhelming majority of people aren't making that kind of money. Mm-hmm. But to try to get into people's algorithms, you have to be posting 20, 25 videos a day just to start getting some traction.
Yeah.
And I've seen students, working with students, just take an hour to make a 30-second TikTok video. Mm-hmm. I would say one of the great things about it is it unlocks creativity in a way that we've struggled as a church to unlock creativity for teenagers. Mm-hmm. But it also, then the flip side of that is it can really rule their thought process. And if we're being honest, like, I struggle with social media. I struggle with what they call doom scrolling. There are plenty of time I had to delete TikTok because I was the guy that I would end up, you're not on TikTok, but there's a couple of videos that if you've watched enough videos in a row, TikTok will put a video that says, "Hey, it's time to stop scrolling." Like, that's, and when TikTok's telling you to turn off the app, that it's not good for you.
Yeah.
And so this doom scrolling stuff, it's not good for you. It's not good for me. I had to delete the app because it's just not good.
Yeah.
But those are the things that, like, just checking out of your life and, like, being enthralled in this world.
Yeah.
And whatever the videos are. If you looked at it's like all disc golf videos. Uh-huh. And like soccer highlights. So it's not like, because that's the algorithm.
The other thing about that is that the videos that we watch are all 4, 5, 10 seconds, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so you end up getting into this segmented world where your attention, you can't last more than 15 or 20 seconds because the videos, they get to the point and they're 5 seconds. And if it hasn't got you in 5 seconds, it's like I watched a video one time of a guy scrolling, and it's like, how long did he ever stay on anything, and what was it that he stayed on? It was like maybe 2 seconds is the most he spent on anything.
There's this great video of somebody, like, she's videoing a girl at like a sleepover, and she's watching TikTok, and she's scrolling using one of those party favors where you like blow out and it, whatever, and she's using it to scroll.
Oh man.
And then she even like double taps it to like, but it's like, if we could pull that up, I'd like, it's the epitome of doom scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just sitting there blank faced and just scrolling
in a room full of other girls.
In a room full of
she could
other
have been
girls.
having conversations
And they're all
with.
on their phones probably like doing it.
And I hope,
if
I
you
really
ever go to
hope
a restaurant, I think I do this with Monica sometimes.
I really hope if you're a
Like-
teenager, you're listening to this, you're not like, please don't hear us saying like, this is what's wrong with this generation, because it is like this for 45-year-olds sitting around a dinner table at home.
Yeah.
This is not
or husbands and wives who could be having a conversation. They're both
this is
on
not
their
a
own phones.
16-year-old problem. This is our
Culture.
society has a problem. This is not us piling on teenagers for how they use social media. This is when Bethany and I are sitting on the couch 4 feet away from each other, both looking at our phone, and we get mad at each other when we say, get off your phone. And I get mad at her for being like, well,
Or she says something to you and you don't hear it, and you don't listen, or which that probably never happens either.
No, I'm super attentive. Every time she asks me to do something, I do it right away. So this isn't a pile on our teenagers, because this is a problem across the board. Like you said, when you go to a restaurant, it is hard to look around tables that don't have phones out.
Yeah, I met a guy at a restaurant the other day for lunch. We were just having a conversation, and there were 8 guys who came in from a landscaping company. They all sat at a long table, 4 on one side, 4 on the other side. Literally, all 8 of them pulled out their phones, scrolled and ate, and never once did one of them say a word to the other guy. Like, I'm literally cracking up. But like, how deep are our relationships also with people when we're around them, but we're looking at what somebody else has to say or do. So
Shepherd Church invites you to celebrate the hope of Jesus through a family-friendly candlelight worship service featuring music and an encouraging message. Christmas is on a Monday this year, which makes our schedule a little different than past years. We will only have one evening service on Saturday, the 23rd at 6 p.m. and 2 morning services on Christmas Eve Sunday at 9 a.m. and 10:45 a.m. All are welcome to celebrate Christmas with us.
Yeah. Well, even just like going back to like the short videos, if you spend an hour watching 5-second reels, how much information are you like receiving? And I don't think we've been designed to have that.
Oh, that's really good. That's really
much, and some of it is just very pointless stuff.
Yeah.
But
most of it is.
Yeah, it really, alters our brains. Like, I don't know the science behind it, but in a way that like the way we interpret the world and the way that we interpret our own lives, or even just our spiritual, like the thought of, I saw a video, it talked about like, instead of every time you go to pick up your phone, why don't you pick up your Bible? And that's like almost painful to even think about for some people to like, it's like, oh, I can't do that. And it's like, man, like, have we backtracked like as a society or even as believers? And not to like say, put everybody under this blanket, but I think it's for a lot of people, the fact that we're so quick to reach our phones than to read the word. I mean, myself included. And I've started challenging myself to do that instead of, and we have the Bible apps on our phones and things like that, but like it's it's hard. You know?
It's like a lot of things. There's good and bad to it. So
because like one of the good things is that we do know things that are happening. But I remember when this year it feels like we know too much is happening in the world. And somebody had posted and said, I don't think the human race was meant to know everything across the world was happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And yes, it's probably good that we don't just get our information from nightly news like we did, 50, 60 years ago. But we don't have the capacity as individuals to process every tragedy that happens the way that it's the way that it's presented to us through social media. When the stuff was going on with Palestine and Israel, when it first started, we had emails coming to us from actually this organization that we'll probably mention here soon, just saying, hey, beware for your kids that like they're going to be showing things on social media that they should not be showing, but there's no way to stop it unless you turn it off.
Yeah, and your kids are going to see it. One thing that came to my mind, and I know we're probably getting close to having to wrap this up, but when you mentioned watching, let's say you watch, videos for a minute, if they're 5 seconds, which is long to watch, that's 60 videos in a short amount of time. But if you were to just scroll for an hour and watch videos and they're 5 seconds, that's just under 1,000 videos.
Yeah.
And like you said, some of them are tragic that we look at for 5 seconds, we don't process, and we go on.
Right.
And so we lack the capacity. I mean, we lose our compassion for people and their feelings and what they're going through because it was just a video that I saw, and I flipped through it in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I didn't think about the pain.
And I'm not saying to be
experiencing.
ignorant to what's happening in the world, but that to think that you and I have the capacity to actually understand and process every human tragedy, and then the next video to be a dance about Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes.
Yeah.
Right. Like you go from like a showing of somebody dying in the Middle East. The very next video is something like that.
Yeah.
And we don't have the capacity on our own to process that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And what's happening especially is our young people are doing that in their rooms at night and have no one to process that with.
Yep.
Yep.
Before bed too, like you go to sleep and just the physical standpoint of being on your phone right before bed, that messes up your sleep. So then you're waking up and have to go to school and function as a human. It's just a lot.
It is. Well, I know that we've talked a lot about it, that we could probably do a whole week's worth of episodes on it and be even more organized in our presentation. But one thing that maybe we could walk away with is giving people a resource that could be helpful. And you know about that. So why don't you tell us that?
I want to highlight two resources for you. And this is, it's mainly aimed at parents, but really anybody that goes to this place is going to find really helpful things. So one is called axis.org. It's AXIS.org. Axis is a great organization that keeps up to date with all of the cultural things that are happening. And so you could find everything from what different emojis mean nowadays.
Yes, I just learned that. I learned that today.
To what social media is doing, to conversations on sexuality, to everything. They have all sorts of things that you can be a part of. The second thing is this, and I think this is where Brianna had said that she wasn't she didn't get a cell phone until she was 16. Neither did I, but it was normal for us because
I was 30
because we didn't have. We didn't have smartphones. This first smartphone really came out when I was in high school. So no one really had phones until you were driving. I would challenge you, if you're a parent of a kid, to go to this website too. It's called waittill8th.com. And I would challenge you to look into that and to wait until 8th grade at least for their first cell phone. The person who started that organization, she tells a quick story. I'd love to just tell the really quick story is, 15 years ago, if a 7th grade boy trips, falls, and his lunch spills everywhere, it's a bad day, and his friends joke with him for a little bit, but he goes home, takes a shower, the next day he comes to school, and everything's fine. That very same 7th grade boy does that today. It's captured on video, it's shared, and it lives in infamy for that kid's life forever. And he has no control of being able to get out from under the shame of what happened, even though it was something so small and silly. he has no ability to get away from that. This organization is great. If you go to it, you can look and see what it looks like to help.
It's waituntil8th.
Waituntil8th.org. It's a great way to make a pledge as a family that you're gonna hold off and give your kid just a little bit more of their childhood without a smartphone in their hand. And so axis.org is a great place to go and find out about what kids are talking about, but also just so you can kind of know what's happening in technology and all these conversations. And then waituntil8th.org to help you understand the dynamics of when to give that first cell phone, which when we started social media, it wasn't on phones. We did it on desktop computers. Now, the phone
that couldn't play a video every 5 seconds because it was so slow.
The phone is the doorway to all of those things, which we've said can be good. None of it's neutral. Like, we can't fool ourselves into thinking any of this is neutral. It can be used for good, but also could have some consequences that we don't want. You have any? What else would you say? Anything?
I think you hit it, or we've hit most of it. So.
Right.
Yeah, good. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's been helpful.
Yeah, it's good. So that's going to wrap up our episode today. Thanks for listening. We hope it was a help. I know it was sort of rabbit trails and we were just all over the place, but it's kind of like social media. Just different things all the time. My thanks to Brianna and to Rob for being here. If you want any more information, check out those websites. Hopefully we'll put those in the show links or the show notes. The links in the show notes is what I'm trying to say. So we're thankful for you for listening. Have a great day.
This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.